I don't know what your base level knowledge of hurricanes is, but here is a fun fact I want to tell you all. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, started naming hurricanes in 1945. And they named them after women because hurricanes, like women, are erratic and unpredictable. No, you should all be offended by that. Nobody should laugh at that. That's incredibly messed up. If I told you that they gave hurricanes Hispanic names because they're coming up from the south and they're going to ruin our neighborhoods, you'd be like, whoa, that's offensive, Matt. If I told you they name hurricanes after black people because they're loud and destructive, we would all be marching in the street right now. That's messed up, all right? And maybe this kind of flew in like 1945 when it was a bunch of dudes sitting around NOAA and be like, let's name them after broads, they're kooky, you know? And I guess Frank Sinatra ran the department then. But by at least the 1970s, there had to be a handful of like female meteorologists being like, hey, isn't a natural disaster bad enough? Do we really need to throw sexism into the mix? Government agency? And I know what you're saying now that you're thinking to yourself, you're saying, Matt, I have seen hurricanes with men's names. Your premise is ludicrous. And first off, I'm like, don't fact check my jokes, man. I thought you were cool. And secondly, here's another fun fact, is that in the early 90s, they started naming hurricanes after men, not because they found the old practice sexist, but because they were just running out of women's names. And I know this because they announced it in a press release that I imagine had the tenor of, while it is still the official position of NOAA that women are crazy bitches and they be bugging. Because this was the early 90s and Low End 3 had just come out. Anyways. But apparently we just don't know enough, so sorry guys. But you know, when you get down to it, it's like, what's the point of even naming a hurricane? Because really there is no hurricane that matters except for the next one. You know, you really don't need to name them to warn people about them. All you're really accomplishing with this is you're ruining people's names. You know? It's like if your name's Sandy, or God, could you imagine if your name was Katrina? It's like you were going along for decades, not harming a soul, and now your name is synonymous with one of the worst disasters of the Bush administration. Might as well be like, hi, my name is Katrina, this is my husband, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and our son, Subprime Mortgage Meltdown. But here's the thing, is they keep a list of these names like years in advance. So here's a tip for any ladies out there who might be pregnant or are thinking about getting pregnant or may have inadvertently gotten pregnant from this set because it's so good. They have the list online. You can look it up and make sure you don't name your baby something that'll be a name that'll be quickly ruined by some asshole meteorologist, right? And in fairness, they are burning through some names we're not using. There's like Olga and Van and Nestor and Virginie, which I'm not even sure is a name on the list. And there is one name on the list next year that I will admit I'm kind of looking forward to, and it's Omar, just because I want to see a lot of weathermen going like, yo, Omar coming. But here's the real problem with this practice is my name's on the list, all right? My name, Matthew's on the list for 2016, and I cannot afford to have my first name ruined by a hurricane because I have no fallback plan, because my middle name is Honeywell, all right? That's not a joke. That's a 100% statement of fact. And I cannot go around as M. Honeywell Chadourne. That's not a name I can pull off. The only way I could pull that name off is if I was like a dandy southern gentleman, like, oh, allow me to introduce myself. I'm M. Honeywell Chadourne of the Baton Rouge Chadornes. So, if everybody could write a letter, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Just for that. I don't know how y'all feel about weed, but I personally wish they would legalize weed, mostly because I would like to try it. And I have no idea how to get it. It's a mystery to me. I really need like a legit business with a clearly marked storefront, someplace I can use my rewards Visa card, someplace I know has like a really good Yelp review. I can be like, you know, like, oh, this one's got a slightly higher rating. this one's got more reviews. Well, let's go to Angie's List to break this tie. And I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got this far without learning how to score weed. And I just like, maybe I like skipped that day of school or like didn't skip that day of school. Everybody learned how to get weed, but as far as I can tell, like everybody's got a pair of pants with a magic pocket they can just pull limited amounts of weed out of. Just like, oh man, I wish I had some weed. Oh shit, a dime bag. Christmas is saved. Once I was at a bus stop, waiting for the bus, as you do, and I bent down to tie my shoe, and this guy came in and stooped down next to me and was like, "Hey man, do you need anything?" And I was like, "No, got it under control. See, a rabbit goes around the tree and through the hole. Thanks though." And then years later, I was like, "Oh wait, is that how drugs happen?" Because it was like 7:15 in the morning. I was not prepared for this. I was like, wait, am I just not getting up early enough? Or like, are drugs like the farmer's market? You gotta be there by 10, or it's just like, no more drugs. I don't know. I always thought if I was approached by a drug dealer, it would be like in the middle of the night, and he would like emerge from a dark alley where he lived in like a trench coat, and I'd be like, hey son, would you like a jazz cigarette? The first one's free. So I guess write a letter about that too, if you could, guys. Let's do letters. I feel like we bonded here. I'm going to come out and tell you something. I am not a dog person. I don't dislike dogs. I mean, they seem like fine and noble creatures. I just really don't see the point in owning a dog. Because it's like, I don't have so many sheep that I need to employ a sheepdog to keep them organized for me. Like, I don't need an Irish wolfhound fighting my wolf battles for me. That's not coming up. My badger problem hasn't gotten so out of control that I need to bring in a strike team of dachshunds to deal with that. I guess you need to know that dachshund means badger hound in German to get that. You guys didn't know, knew that? That the Germans bred dachshunds for hundreds of years to one purpose, and it's to murder badgers. The wiener dog, possibly the silliest looking creature on earth, is also the perfect badger killing machine. Like if you were to put a dachshund and a badger in a room and come back 10 minutes later, only one's walking out. It's not the badger. Anyways, but yeah, it's like I don't have any of these tasks that I need completed, so it's like bringing a dog into the mix doesn't really help me. It's like if they had a dog that could like fold laundry, or there's a dog breed that could drive me to work so I could spend that time reading, like, yeah, that'd be great. I would get those dogs, but these other dogs, I don't think it's helpful for anybody. And it's like, I don't mean to harp on this whole dachshund thing, but if you've ever been around one, they're kind of crazy. And it's because they have PTSD from fighting an endless war on badgers that you're completely unaware of. Like if you have a dachshund, every time you go to work, like he's just writing in his journal, like day 1,213 of deployment, still no badger sighted. I barked at what I thought was a badger for 2 hours. Turned out it was that same cat as every day. I must remain vigilant if we ever hope to end this war, and I return to the farm with Mother. I don't know why they sent me to such a secluded outpost. The other day I was digging and I thought, you know, badgers love to dig too. Maybe we're not so different, the badgers and I. And we'll end this needless bloodshed.